Well, this is where I'm hoping to camp. It's a white dot of sand just straight ahead of me there. But it's our tide still on its way in, so I'm going to have to walk through mud to get to it, but we'll have a look. Well, this is the first time I've come to a spot that I'm going to camp at, and I can't access the campground. Unfortunately, the mud is just far too soft with all the storms I've had over the last 6 months or so. Press the paddle down into the mud. If it's 6-inch mud or 150mm mud, you can sort of walk through that. Not too much of an issue, but I put the paddle down into the mud and it went down pretty much knee deep without too much effort at all. So that's a bit of a problem because you can't then carry anything because it then pushes you down even further and then you get literally stuck in the mud. And then you're sort of pulling yourself over the mud and it's not worth it. You just end up covered in mud, dragging yourself around for an hour or two to get to a campsite. You can't rinse off and yeah, just end up covered in mud and flogging yourself essentially for an hour and a half, 2 hours. So it's going to head back around the other side of this island on the westerly side and see what we can find between here and the car. Push comes to shove, there's a caravan park in the little town that I put in at. Can always get back to there. But it's, yeah, unfortunately, as I said, it's the first time I haven't been able to find a camp spot, but we'll still be able to go. Haven't given up yet. There's lots of little islands around here. We're just going to get one tall enough that it's out of the mangroves and out of the high tide. So we'll see how we get on. Just heading across to the mainland now. Hoping that maybe something along the side of the coast itself will have something, but not looking good. Been very blessed with the weather, I must admit. Only the slightest of breezes. It's the shallowest waterway I've been on so far. I've spent as much time almost walking as I have paddling. It's extraordinarily flat and low. So I'm just going across to a deeper channel to head back towards the car. Fingers crossed we can find somewhere to camp. Well, for the first time since I've had the canoe, I wasn't able to find a camp spot. The place I had marked on Gaia was actually a good place to camp, but unfortunately with probably 3 foot deep mud, I wasn't prepared to get out and basically slide up onto the mud, drag everything up into the campground, or the camp spot I should say. Just to camp the night in the wild just wasn't worth it. So paddled around for about 5 hours all up looking for a spot, but could not find a little beach or a flat spot big enough to camp on. It was all just mangroves, very, very flat bay. It, in places was only down to about 3 or 4 inches, so I ended up dragging the canoe and so forth. But hey, look, it was a great day out in the water. Not disappointed at all because I got to see all up about 9 turtles. Now I don't know what type they were. I think they were green turtles, but I'll put the name down below if they're not. I saw probably two bull sharks, only about 1 metre long, which was nice though. Great to see sharks in the wild. Lots of shovel-nosed sharks, a few flathead and so forth. So lots and lots of wildlife, which is really great. I mean, there's something special about paddling around in the wild with turtles. It's just absolutely brilliant. I've never done that before in my life, I'll have to admit, and that was an absolute highlight. So what I've ended up doing, I came back into town, a little caravan park here, ended up going back right into town, into another town I should say, a larger town, to get phone coverage, to phone the caravan park because it was closed, and to then contact the manager. He's actually away, so booked a little site out, just got a little space here for my tent. Unfortunately no fires, but that's okay. So we're just going to camp in here tonight, and then tomorrow morning I'll head back down the coast. There's another spot where I can get into with a boat ramp that actually works in the lower tide. And what we'll do is we'll spend the day fishing down there, which would be really nice. So unfortunately no fishing today, and no campfire and no fish for dinner and so forth. But hey, look, cannot complain, just really great to get out. Now, I thought about it on the way back. It's an interesting thing with guys, you know, what I could have done, of course, is just cancelled the whole trip and just thought, you know what, not worth it, not putting up a video and so forth. I could have fudged something and made out like I'd camped in the wild and pulled some footage from other videos and so forth, but in the end I thought, you know what, it doesn't really matter. It's not a failure. Just because I didn't get a wild camp doesn't mean I'm not getting out there, and the fact that I spent a beautiful day, most of the day in fact, out on the water. It was really, really worthwhile. So I thought I'll just put this up anyway, just to show that, you know, as men we need to, I suppose, what's the word for it, buck up sometimes and just, you know, deal with it, get on with it. There's a lot of talk these days about, you know, mental health, and men's mental health in particular, because men don't like talking about mental health. And I do see a lot of guys that just don't think they can do it, or they shouldn't do it, or they haven't got the skill to do it, whatever. And I just wanted to demonstrate to everyone, hey, we all have failures, we all have days when it doesn't work out, nothing goes to plan. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean it's the worst day ever at all. In fact, it was actually a brilliant day. As I said, getting to paddle around in a bay with turtles is something very, very special. So to a certain extent, it's actually a highlight. So, but anyway, I've got myself a very, very comfortable little campsite for the night. I'm going to pitch in here in the tent. It's going to be very, very cold. Going to get down to about 3 degrees Celsius. That's just quite cold for Queensland, I must admit, subtropical Queensland. But got new bedding and so forth set up, so I'm going to get in there tonight, have a really early night, and as I said, we'll get up early, pack up the stuff, chuck her into the car, and then we'll head down to this next town. It's only about 25-30 minutes away, so we'll head into there, chuck the canoe in the water, and we'll spend the day in the water fishing, which I'm looking forward to. I'll see you guys in the morning. Oh, that's nice. Well, we're back out on the water. Camping last night was fantastic. Always very comfortable on nice soft grass, I must admit. But devastating news, probably even worse than not being able to find a campground, or a camp spot I should say. Wake up this morning, no coffee. Oh, not happy at all. Anyway, all good, sorted it out. Ended up just piling the wet tent in the back of the car, heading up to the local town. Managed to grab a coffee, which was great, bit of brekkie. And we're back out in the water. Just floating along here in 6 inches of water. I've seen some dolphins this morning, which was lovely. I was hoping they'd be still around when I got out in the canoe, but unfortunately by the time I got myself set up and on the water, they're long gone. That's okay. Heading out to a point here. We'll cast the line in as soon as we get out into a bit of deeper water. See if we can control something along the way as well. With a bit of luck, we'll catch ourselves some lunch. Well, we're on already. That's a good sign. I hope it's something sort of decent fish. It's only small. A little bit of fight. Yeah, it looks pretty small. Oh, looks like a little flathead of some sort. Yeah, little flathead. That's a good start to our day. Leave him in the water and get the pliers out. We can just put him straight back in. Come on, little guy. Yeah, too small for breakfast or lunch. Okay. Come on, little guy. Yeah, not very big, but still a good start to the day. Off you go. Well, there we go. Smallest of small whiting. Look at the size of this poor little guy. These as adults are absolutely delicious, but they've got to be at least 8 inches long, 250 mil. So unfortunately it's too small, but otherwise, tell you what, 3 or 4 of those for lunch would be absolutely awesome. They're just a beautiful eating fish. The tide's almost out now, so I'm heading back towards the boat ramp. I'll pull in there, grab some lunch out of my esky, and just have a little rest and so forth, get some water. Maybe go up along the beach here and cast in a little bit. see how we go, and then wait for that tide to turn and start coming back in, and see how we get on then. The other problem I've got, of course, is the wind. The wind's now picked up. It's quite a strong breeze coming back from the southwest. It's blowing me back out to sea essentially. But we'll see how that goes by the time lunch comes around or the tide turns around. We'll see how that works out. Well, I've decided while the tide's on its way back in again to go for a walk down the other end of the bay here, just along the beach, see if there's any trenches that we can cast into and so forth. But also just to get a feel of what it's like down this end. I haven't been around this way before, and you just need to see if there's any camp spots and so forth. Two locals I was talking to said across the other side on Fraser Island there's a couple of places I can camp, which is good, so I'll have a look at those in the future. But also just interested in coming down this end of the bay here. Ooh, hang about, look at this guy. Wow, isn't that awesome? Sorry, hope you picked that up on the camera. Beautiful big Seahawk. So yeah, we'll go for a boat peep down here, as I said, see if we can do a bit of fishing, and just get a feel for what this is like around this way as well from a camping point of view for the next time we come up this way. Look at that. The only person out here. Oh, we got a creek coming out here. This is exactly what we're looking for. There is a campground up the top of this creek. What we might try and do is find ourselves a spot on the bank here. A few flicks. Just never know your luck. But certainly, whoa, deep. Yeah, that's very pretty, isn't it? Once again, you need high tide to get out into the channel, but yeah, nice little river. No one around. Let's have a flick. So I've just come out from that creek, which was just over in here. Just wanted to show you guys this sandbar. This is what it should look like. This is what the bottom of the bay should look like in a good season. Unfortunately, La Nina with all its flood and mud turned it all into grey and brown, but that's what I would expect it to look like. Beautiful golden sand, nice blue water. You can almost swim to, in fact you could swim to Fraser Island from here, so we'll definitely be coming back to do that in the canoe, not swimming. We're just past 1 o'clock now. So what I'm thinking is we head back to the car and just see what this tide does now. Unless it's really going to come in a fair way by the time we get back, which will be about half an hour, 3/4 an hour, so close to 2 o'clock. I mean, we'll have to call it a day and head back to Brisbane, but I really would love to catch one fish for dinner. That would be awesome. So anyway, I'm going to crank up the speed, head back to the car and the canoe, and fingers crossed we can get back out. Well, great news, 2 o'clock, tide's almost in. I think it peaks at about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Just going to trawl down the side of the beach here. It's lovely clear shallow water. See if we can't pick ourselves up some dinner. Well, there's plenty of stingrays coming in. I'm sure a good size shovel-nosed shark as well hiding. We're only in, once again, only about 6-12 inches of water here, so just really waiting for this tide to get a little bit higher. And into the mangroves as well. Last time I was here I got a really nice little bream in the mangroves. So we just probably got about another foot of water to go before we get into there. And hopefully then we'll get some bream and so forth coming up into those areas. Get ourselves some dinner. Not sure if you can see that or not, but that's the actual bait fish caught on the lure. So we might actually change our lure to something that colour and see if we can use that to catch a fish with. Isn't that interesting? It's literally smaller than the lure, but he's had a go at it anyway. Incredible. As I said, we'll see if we get a blue or lure in there and see if that'll work. because whatever's a local bait fish, that's what we probably should be using. Give it a run. It appears something on here now. It appears it's tiny. Another little flathead. Well, that's a good sign. We know we've got the right lure at least. Let's get you back in. There, yeah. Way too small, unfortunately, but a good sign, as I say. At least we've got the right lure now. Well, here we go. Now we've got something decent. Come on. Ooh, it's large. Good news is it's bobbing its head, which means it's not a stingray. Stingrays just have a dead pull on them. Hopefully this will be a large brim or flathead. Ooh, it's putting up a good fight. Oh yeah. Another big flathead. Absolutely brilliant. There's dinner sorted. Let's go get this guy in. Adjusting it. Hello, big fella. Well, a simple thing. A simple change of lure. Come on. Every time we're getting close, he gets under the canoe. I love a fish that puts up a fight. Come on back. Come on. Yes. Whoa. That's good. A bit unorthodox in the entry. Look at what we got here. Net out the way. All right. So the good news is I bought an official ruler to measure the fish. You won't be able to see this, but I'll do it with my mobile phone. Okay. So essentially the fish has to be, just get it down a little bit, and the head of that guy to the end of that guy. So as you can see, line that up beautifully. That is well and truly size. So here's the plan. I'm going to now pack up and head home. I'll head back to the boat ramp with this guy. We'll get him filleted up. I've got a plastic bag in my esky. Chuck him into the esky. We'll bolt home. It's going to be horrific traffic. It's now 5 to 3. So we'll bolt home to Brisbane, and I'm going to cook him up at home with some chips and so forth. And I'll show you that footage when I get home as well, because this guy's going to be absolutely delicious. Alright, let's get an idea how long this guy is. 56 centimetres. That's an excellent size. It's 65 centimetres, so up here you have to throw them away. Not throw them away, so we let them go because they're usually females. But that is going to be beautiful for dinner tonight. Really looking forward to that. Okay, so what we've got here is some egg, salt and vinegar chips. We just put the fish and the egg chips into the bowl, and then we'll chuck it in the frying pan and cook it up. Fairly simple one. I actually wanted to use this recipe for the bass because I figured it would add a lot of flavour to it. But as it turns out, it's going to be flathead, so that's okay. Roll it around, get it nice and coated. Yeah, it looks good. All right, let's try this guy out. Very, very nice. Now, normally, of course, I would be saying, hey, I'm going to sit down and wolf this down and I'll see you guys after dinner with a cup of tea, etc. But of course, you're not going to have that tonight because I don't have a campfire and this is not a campsite. Thank you for those that have stayed to the end. I really appreciate that. It was a very interesting weekend. Going in the campground rather than camping wild, but very worthwhile. I'm really glad I stayed around today to catch these fish. Absolutely delicious. So I will see you all in a fortnight's time. Bye for now.